Hello everyone, myself Ritika and I welcome you to EduTap. Today, I take pride in introducing a very important personality, I would say, Miss Suparna Tandon. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming and sharing your thoughts with us.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Ritika. I look forward to the session.
Thank you, ma'am. And people, I would like to give a brief introduction about ma'am. And this is a most awaited session, ma'am, I would like to tell, right? Because the students knew that this session is going to come. So I'll just give introduction about ma'am. So ma'am is currently serving as CGM at Nabard. And prior to being CGM, she has served as the MD at NAB Samruddhi Finance Limited, which is a subsidiary of Nabard. And she has varied experiences by working in Nabard itself. She has been associated with Nabard for approximately 30 years now. So I think nothing more than that you people need to know that what all insights she's gonna share with us. So ma'am, again, welcome to the channel and we are really glad to have you. So our discussion to all the students who are here, live here, is gonna be about your job as a grade A officer, then what are the promotion opportunities, what is basically the functioning of Nabard, what kind of lifestyle you get there as an officer, and all other different things like opportunities to excel, how can you get yourself upgraded professionally, personally, and all other things. So we'll be discussing. Ma'am, shall I start it now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anything you'd like to tell us before we proceed to like questions?
No, I'll take each question forward, and in case I have to say something in between the questions also, I can add. Please go ahead.
Right, thank you. So guys, you can post your questions, although I have prepared a list of questions keeping in mind all your doubts, but still if you have any doubt you can post it there. If it is not answered, then I will definitely take it up, right? If it is relevant and it is not taken up, right? तो पढ़ लेना अच्छे से अपने comments लिखने से पहले, right? So let's get started, ma'am. So first of all, I would say that all of us want to know that when students are appearing for this examination of grade A, they have this thing in mind that what is the role of a grade A officer, or what is our job actually? So can you enlighten us on that?
Okay, I mean, I think that's a very legitimate question and a natural question to have curiosity as to what you're getting into. So the work profile, the grade A is the junior most officer in Nabard, and you have say about 6 tiers till you become CGM, Chief General Manager, which is the post I am in. And above that, you have the Deputy Managing Director and then the Chairman. So as a grade A officer, basically you are the first person facing the external client, whether it's a bank, whether it's an NGO, whether it's the state government. So the job is first to interact with the client at the ground level, and you will be, don't worry, you will be well equipped as to how to interact. You will be well equipped about the job role, the job profile that will be given to you. And then whenever any application, say for a loan comes to us, or whenever any application for a grant comes to us, or whenever any agency approaches us for any assistance, so the job will be to do the preliminary scrutiny, to assess the application, to assess the proposal, to do some kind of a due diligence. And not just that, you are also given the responsibility, and I think it's a very empowering thing, to present that proposal before the senior management, whether it's in the head office or in the RO. So even as a grade A officer, the work profile is very, very enriching, because you are able to contribute to the work, to the vision of Nabard from day one. So you gain experience from day one. So the work profile is very exciting. It's very, very educating, and it's very empowering.
Right. And ma'am, this brings me to another question. When grade A officers are recruited, right? So is there any specific department in which they work, or are there different departments to which they can be posted? Like what are different types of roles they can do, or what different responsibilities can they have?
Okay, so I think, Ritika, the best way I can answer this question, is to say something which I was thinking, saving for the latter part, but let me bring it now. So let's talk a little bit about what Nabard does.
Right.
Then I'll answer the question. So Nabard, as you all know, is the only development bank of the nation which aims at rural prosperity. And the strength of Nabard is in its mandate, that is the development bank of the nation for fostering rural prosperity. That's the vision. So how do we do rural prosperity? So there are 4 or 5 major functions. And the first is finance or credit, which we give by way of refinance. Suppose State Bank of India or say HDFC Bank gives a loan for agriculture. We refinance them for the same amount or say 90% of that amount. Then we have some developmental activities like microfinance. We support the self-help groups. We support the farmers, producers, organizations. All of you must have heard of the FPOs. We finance state government for rural infrastructure. We also supervise the cooperative banks and the RRBs. We do a lot of hand-holding of partner institutions. We do a lot of research and development. We do a lot of consultancy work. So you as a grade A officer can find yourself in any of these major functional areas first, depending on what is your background. So if you're an MBA finance or a PhD in finance, you could find yourself in the resource mobilization department. If you've done an MBA, say in project management or operations, you could find yourself in a business department or in say an infrastructure kind of a role. If you've done something in marketing, you could be in a marketing role. If you're an HR, if an MBA in HR, you could, or in economics, you could. So it depends first on what is the qualification. And the second is during the exam or the interview, if you show an aptitude for a particular kind of role, you could be posted there. So it could be anywhere in India because we have offices in each of the state capitals. It could be in head office, that is in Mumbai. It could be in a training establishment. Suppose they find that you have an academic orientation. It could be in one of the training establishments. We have quite a few of them. Or if we find that you have certain sharp skills or an edge, you could even find yourself posted in one of the subsidiaries, Nabard 7 subsidiaries. So it's a vast canvas. You could be posted anywhere depending on your background, qualification, or your affinity for a particular role.
That's wonderful. So basically, as you said, that if you show that you have interest, or if you even have educational background or academic background, then also you have the opportunity to excel in that only. To that, I would also like to mention, ma'am, you yourself have varied experiences from project finance to finance and marketing. You have worked in HR department, and coming from, you have done MBA in finance and marketing yourself. And you have
HR.
Finance and HR, and you have headed the subsidiary also. So you are yourself an example that you can have multiple experiences. It will of course depend on one's like what do they have in their background.
Yes, so I'll give a little bit about how I have grown up the ladder so that people can get an understanding. So when I first joined Nabard, I was posted to Rajasthan in Jaipur. And there I was given the cream department at that point of time. The cream department was project finance. And I was given the work of financial appraisal of all projects, agricultural projects from 5 districts in Rajasthan, which is a huge responsibility and it's very exciting. So for 5 years, I did that work, assessing, doing financial appraisal of a dairy project, or say a minor irrigation project, or say a horticulture project, something like, financing a rose cultivation over 500 acres of land. So at the outset, the kind of training I was given helped me fulfill that role. After that, I came to Lucknow. In Lucknow, I was in a training establishment, which meant taking sessions for officers, some of whom were even senior to me, doing kind of research. Then I moved to HR. After that, when I went to Bombay, I was given the job of capital gains resource mobilization. That was a finance role. Then I moved to planning. So credit planning. We also, do kind of planning at the district level to see what kind of, how much funds farmers need, how much funds banks need. So that role we did. Then I went to risk, which was setting up the verticals for credit and operational risk. Then I moved to the subsidiary. So as you can see from my experience, Nabard is one organization where you don't get stuck in one role. That's the only organization I can proudly say where you get 360-degree exposure in various roles that any aspiring candidate can look for. You don't have to be stuck, say, in a place. You're not stuck in a department. You're not stuck in a grade. So that kind of exposure, I don't think you get anywhere. And let me tell you, Nabard, if I were to describe Nabard, it is like, it has the best of the public sector, which means it's a safe, there's no hire and fire policy. And it's also like a private sector in terms of the corporatization, the corporate culture, the kind of excitement, the new things that we keep doing, the innovative things that we do, the pilots that we do. Every year, our balance sheet grows by 1 lakh crore. Now, if you see today, 31st March, our balance sheet is 7,50,000 crore. And even in the last 2 years of COVID, when institutions were degrowing their balance sheets, we grew at 16 to 17%. Last year, we grew by more than 1 lakh crore. So that's the kind of growth that we have seen. That's the kind of confidence that the government has in us. Now, to add to the job safety and security, let me tell you that Nabard is 100% owned by the government of India. 100%. There is no other shareholder. So the government entrusts us with all the flagship programs, all the key programs of the government of India for rural development are implemented through Nabard. That's the only organization. And that speaks volumes about the confidence that the stakeholders have in Nabard.
Right. And from this discussion, I could recall what you earlier said to me in our previous discussion, that sky is the limit if you want to grow.
The sky is
what I could sense, right?
A grade A officer can aspire to be the chairman of Nabard. That's the tagline I would say for today. A grade A officer can also aspire to be a chairman of Nabard. That's the
wonderful. So this is obviously the promotion, how you can be promoted in the same ladder that you have told. We will also discuss a bit more that how can one aspire, like if they want to grow quickly, or what should they do. But ma'am, from our discussion, I have a very interesting point about, you mentioned the culture of the organization. Please enlighten us about how is the work culture, how is the work-life balance at Nabard?
Okay, so first of all, let me tell you that Nabard is a very lean organization. It's an officer-oriented organization. We have around 3,000 staff, but we work all over India. Now, when it comes to the work culture, the first thing that I want to emphasize is transparency. So we are known for our transparency. We are known for our integrity, and whether it is an international partner or the government or even the state governments, they want to work with Nabard only because there is absolutely 100% of honesty, no gifts, no other this thing than the salary and the perks, and salary and perks are very, very good. So the salary is wonderful. The work-life balance is wonderful. You get sufficient leave in a year. You get sufficient ways of recreation. You have weekends. It's a 5-day. It's a 5-day office. Saturdays and Sundays are free for you. We have enough of sports facilities. We have gym facilities in the office and in the staff quarters. So let me also tell you, accommodation is a very big thing in most areas.
Yes.
We have staff quarters built everywhere, wherever we have offices. आपको मकान ढूंढने की जरूरत नहीं है. The moment you get a job, you're given a flat. You went shift into the flat. In a place like Bombay, it's wonderful. So there are enough of motivational things to say about Nabard. The work culture is very, very open. So I am a CGM. My junior most grade A, who was joined last year, can open my door and come in and present his case. We invest a lot in our staff. There is a lot of coaching and mentoring that happens all the time. So as a CGM, I also coach and mentor my staff all the time. We always keep telling them, this is how you put up a case. This is how you present. This is how you make a presentation. Discipline is there. So while we invest in them, we also take interest in their families, but we also discipline them if the need arises. So So it's a very balanced kind of a work environment where there is enough of orientation for fulfillment of job, and at the same time there is orientation to spend time for the family, and the relationship with the staff and the top management is always very, very cordial.
Right. So that was wonderful to know. Work-life balance basically is one important thing that one looks for. That will I get the opportunity to have challenging work, have a learning working sphere, but also spend time with my family. And this accommodation thing is obviously, I would say, an added perk where you get the accommodation. Now, ma'am, I would like to tell you, I would to inform you that we have close to 100 students online now. And
Okay.
I have few questions. I'll just ask one question. Uh, a candidate is asking that what is the CTC that you can tell us that one will get after recruitment to the post?
Uh, you know, I think the CTC will be something which is a mix of pay and perks. So you will get everything included. You will easily get something in 5 figures. So the salary is equivalent to that of Reserve Bank of India, which is the even higher than the commercial banks. It is higher than any commercial bank, the public sector commercial bank. And there is an annual increment. The day you join, from day one, you get eligible for a leave travel a concession, which is an LTC. Where you can travel anywhere in India with your family and dependents. So when you say CTC, in the private sector, everything is given in monetary terms.
Right.
Whereas in the public sector, because of certain compulsions, there are certain things which are given financially and certain things which are given in kind. So you take a reimbursement, and then so the perquisite could be a personal advance which is given, a vehicle advance which is given at the end of certain period of time that you put in. You get money to buy loan to buy a computer, a laptop on very soft terms. You get an entertainment allowance. You get a kind of a scholarship to study. You get a Sodexo. You get money to buy a briefcase. You get so actually almost every need is taken care of. So if you convert everything, the fact that you're getting a house in Bombay, for which you pay just say a small percentage of your salary, and which otherwise would cost something like 40, 50,000, 60,000 in the commercial market. So if you convert that, all these perks, it's beyond 5 figures. So beyond that, I will not be in a position to tell, because these are things which
I think the things that you have told us already are.
Yes, one more thing. Sorry, I wanted to say. So medical facilities. So the Nabard covers you for hospitalization, not just for you, but for your dependents. And dependents are parents, unmarried brothers, sisters, spouse, children. So whether it's an OPD, whether it's hospitalization, whether it's to buy a pair of spectacles, whether it's to buy a hearing aid. So entire medical facilities. There is insurance, which is a group insurance. There is, you get money even to put petrol in your car. So almost everything that you can think of, whether it's conveyance to housing, to education, to hospitalization, to everything is sort of covered. Including there is money for buying for mobile. Not buying. I mean that for that there will be some time. There is a one time once every 5 years you get money to buy furniture for your house. What more do you want?
So all these things, I would say, add up, and the question of the salary or CTC becomes very small in front of all these things that you have told.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you are very well provided and taken care of, financially as well as emotionally.
Wonderful to know. That is really, like, I think all the concerns that people have in mind, because they're going to join. Many people, ma'am, I would like to tell you, have this notion that they don't know exactly, right, like what would be their role be. So they have this thing, we are going to join a government body, we don't know what type of facilities would be given. So all these things clear all your doubts right now. One thing, ma'am, apart from all these things you have told, you have already told us about different departments, the different type of postings with your own example. But what is, one kind of desired post, or that is a very good, everyone wants to work there, something like that, is there in Nabard?
If you say desire, so there is a difference between a post and a posting. When you say the most desirable post, obviously there can be only one answer, that of Chairman Nabard. But when it's a desirable posting, it again depends on what is your interest. And that is what I'm saying. For each person who is joining the organization, there is a niche area for each person. So if suppose I have worked, I'll give two absolutely different examples. Suppose I have done MBA in finance. I can work in the treasury of Nabard as a grade A officer, which means mobilizing funds, which means competing with, say, an HDFC bank or an ICICI bank and borrowing at low rates. It means I have the ability to invest, say, in a mutual fund or say in a corporate bond. Or so if my interest is finance, I can work in the treasury in Nabard. If my interest is risk management, there is a department of risk management. If my interest is, say, development, suppose I'm from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, I can simply say, I want to work with the tribal families. I want to work with women in microfinance. If my interest is HR, I want to invest in people. I want to, work for the staff welfare. I could go in HR. Or along the way, I could become a faculty member in a staff college. That's also a prized posting because you get an allowance for that. So what I'm saying is the desirable post is that of Chairman Nabard in the future. I need to work for it. And the desirable posting depends on what is the qualification and where you want to work. So there are ample opportunities. So each person can find his niche. Each person and we treat people as equal. That the most important thing, what I want to say is, we will not say, oh, so and so is from IIT. So let me also tell you this. So people who are listening, there are people from IITs who come and join us. There are people from IIMs who come and join us. There are people who've left cushy jobs in EY, KPMG, in Infosys, in TCS, in HDFC Bank, in ICICI Bank, who have come and joined us because of the work-life balance and because of the work culture. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a huge scope. You want to take up research, you take up research. You want to take up finance, you take up finance. All the time, it may not be possible, but the avenues are there. Sooner or later, you can always find that sweet spot, that most satisfying, that aha moment where, you say, yes, this is the job for me. So the canvas is already there. It's for you to paint on.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. And we have simultaneously questions also going on. So I think Mayur, your question is answered. Mayur asked that, can we get a chance to work on rural developmental activities or ground level?
120%. So Mayur, let me answer that question more directly. I had initially touched upon three major areas of Nabard, and the second one was developmental and promotional. So that's the the crux of the existence of Nabard. Nabard is the only organization which puts all its profits into development. Today, you can say it is the biggest CSR spending giant in India. So other people give dividends from their profits. We don't. Entire money is put into development. And how do we do the development? So if you see, the microfinance program, you all keep reading about SHGs and all that. Nabard was the first one to start that in 1983. We started with a pilot of 500 SHGs in Mysore with Myrada. And today there are more than 1.17 crore, sorry, 1.120 lakh SHGs. So that is 1.2 crore SHGs which have been promoted thanks to Nabard. And do you know what is the loan outstanding? First of all, let me tell you what is an SHG. It is an informal group of 15-20 women. It's not a registered. ऐसे group बन के आते हैं and they just do some savings within themselves. They do some lending within themselves, and then we help them connect to the banks. Now these 120 lakh SHGs have a cumulative loan outstanding of 1,40,000 crore. Just imagine where they are. So Nabard has facilitated that. Now, another flagship program which we have is that of our natural resources management. So whenever you go to rural areas, you might find that there are those hilly areas where there is not a single tree, there is soil erosion. What happens to the people in those areas? They migrate for jobs. So we take up these degraded areas, we help the ecology of these areas develop, and we help people come back. We help them regenerate. We help them find jobs for themselves in those areas. We work with the tribals in the most backward regions of the country. So whether it is an LWE district, whether it is an aspirational district, whether it is Leh Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir, whether it is Bardmer bordering, Pakistan in Rajasthan, whether it is a flood affected district in Vishakhapatnam, we are there everywhere. So if you are looking for development, Mayur, there is unlimited scope. Please come and join Nabard.
Wonderful. So basically the scope is unparalleled here. If you want to bring like the impact you want to create with your work, you have enough scope there.
And one more thing, I was also seeing questions about, civil services and Nabard. So,
right.
As a civil servant, you will just be monitoring something at the district level. In Nabard, actually, you are facilitating it. So you see the impact. In fact, let me tell you, some of our projects, I mean, this is off the cuff, are so good. So if there is a watershed project of Nabard and there is a similar project of the state government, when teams come to visit, our projects are shown as that of the government, that of the government, because quality is always emphasized on. So you will see the impact within 3 or 4 years of the interventions that we do. But you will be there, say in West Bengal, RO, in Calcutta, or in say Hyderabad. And when you go to the field in 2-3 years, you can immediately see the impact on the rural communities. So we work with backward classes, we work with women, and we try to bring in diversity. We try to bring participation of rural people. We have participation from the panchayats. We work with the NGOs. So it's a very hands-on kind of work that we do. It's not just on paper.
Thank you for taking that. Like, I did not even ask that question and you answered it. I was going to ask because people here have this doubt that, ma'am, I am preparing for UPSC, right? So shall I join Nabard? I like the organization, or can I prepare for UPSC or Nabard? So this is the comparison that you have brought. That impact that you want to bring with your work will be there. The development part is there. So all things that you want to bring change with, Nabard gives you a scope. One question now I'll take again. It is the student has not written the name, but is asking that, ma'am, can I pursue PhD after joining Nabard?
Of course. There are a lot of avenues for pursuing higher studies in Nabard. So the first thing I would say, let me answer that question again eventually. The first thing that people do is they write the JIB. That's the Indian Institute of Bankers kind of a course. And the moment you first do JIB, you get 1 increment. So people try to finish that within 3 months of joining. Then there's another course which is called CIB. And the moment you complete that, you get 1 more increment. And that continues for life. So including in your pension. That's the first thing. Second, you have the provision to do a PhD. I did an MBA after joining Nabard. So you could take up an MBA in IIM, or you can take up a PhD with any of the universities. There is a study leave scheme that we have. You can get a sabbatical and go and work somewhere and then come back. Of course, there are conditionalities for everything. You may have to fill a bond. In some cases, you're allowed to keep the lease flat. In some cases, you may not be allowed. In some cases, you get some leave. In some cases, it is leave without pay. There are various ways in which and huge amount of scope in which you can take up higher studies. And remember, once you do a PhD, there is an allowance which you get every month if you complete the PhD. That is an added incentive. And in some cases, Nabard also pays for higher studies. Like my MBA was partly financed by Nabard. So there is part financing, there is leave. And if you complete certain qualifications like a PhD, you get an allowance. So, I mean, I think you should not have any doubts about the scope for higher studies.
Right. So again, that answers all the questions related to your studies. Ma'am has herself listed the points that you get incentives to study, leaves are given. Then even if you complete study, then also allowances are there. Few questions are related to postings. I think we can take this up, ma'am. We can discuss a bit about postings also. Like, are they in home state? Can one choose on some specific grounds their home state, or where are usually the postings are? We can discuss this. This question will also be answered through this.
Sure, sure, sure. So, like I told you in the beginning, the first posting that you can expect is either head office, which is Mumbai, or any of the state capitals. So there are 31, state capitals, or it could be one of the training establishments, which is Lucknow. Our training establishments are in Lucknow. Generally, what we do is we try to give the first posting. Generally, I am not in HR right now, so I'm giving you based on my study over the last few years that you may not immediately get your home state, but you will get somewhere in the nearby state. So if you are in, so like my home state was Uttar Pradesh, my first posting was Jaipur. So, but as far as lady officers are concerned, they try to accommodate in the home state. But it also depends on the vacancies. So suppose one has to be posted in Jaipur, but there are no vacancies in Jaipur, then maybe you may get Chandigarh. So again, to reiterate, you will get a posting depending on your vacancy, on the vacancy in that place. However, you may get somewhere close to your home state in the first posting. Number two, in the annual transfers, there are considerations which are given for medical cases, there are considerations which are given for joining spouses. So generally, transfers and postings are not a very difficult thing in Nabard. I have managed with both of us working and with two children to grow up, who were growing up. And so it's not such a big deal. So you don't have to worry about the postings. And you don't get, like in a commercial bank, just imagine if you were to join a commercial bank or say the civil services, your transfers would be, in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It doesn't happen like that in Nabard. So if you go to a place, say as a grade A, you will easily be placed for 5 to 6 years in one place. So it's not that every 2 years you pack your bags and go to a new center. Then there is an incentive also for getting posted in the Northeast, which is a Government of India policy. So if you volunteer to take a posting in the Northeast, one of the centers, you can always come back to your home center. And that is there as a Government of India incentive. So again, I'll sum up: posting either Mumbai head office or any of the state capitals or the training establishment. The caveat there is generally first posting is in the same zone as your home center.
But as this question was also posted by a girl only, that if they usually, it of course depends on the vacancies if they are there, but they try to accommodate. It's not a very strict policy that you have to be transferred every 2 years, 3 years. It is not like
for
that.
grade A, it is 5 to 7 years. So there is security of tenure. It is not that you pack your bags and go. Like, and in commercial banks, you see, you'll be posted in a branch somewhere in in some rural area. And every 2 years you pack your bag and move. It's not like that in Nabard.
That is fair enough. And I think students must be happy, especially girls who had this query. They must be happy now. Now, ma'am, I have one more question because we were discussing about postings areas also. So is there any opportunity to go on assignments abroad also? Or like they can get trained there? Anything based on their work? Can they go to other countries?
So there are two things. First is a posting abroad. Now, the Nabard Act doesn't allow us to open branches abroad. Nabard Act is only rural India. So therefore, we don't have any branches abroad. So we do not have any postings abroad. If and when that happens, then definitely that avenue will be opened. But training abroad, yes. So I have attended 3 training programs abroad so far. And that opportunity is there for officers who prove themselves. It's a kind of exposure that you get. But these are short duration courses. It's not that you get posted for 6 months or 6 months. So it could be 15 days, it could be 1 month, it could be 1 week. But that opportunity is also there. For instance, I have been to the Frankfurt Institute of Management. I have been to two other institutions in Southeast Asia. So I have people who have gone to Philippines. I have colleagues who've been posted for a 15-day course in Harvard. There are people who've gone to the University of Southampton, UK. So as far as training and exposure is concerned, yes, it is definitely there. However, last 2 years because of COVID, all these things have stopped. But again, they would be revived very soon. But posting is not yet there because the Act does not allow.
Right. But again, point was, ma'am, I think everything boils down to your own affinity, how much you want to grow, what,
Yes.
how, where are your interests, and you get the opportunity. Like if you want to pursue, if you prove yourself, you get the opportunity to go for trainings and
Absolutely.
other things abroad. And ma'am, trainings, as you said that for trainings you can go. So like, are there some optional trainings, or it is for some selected people, or everyone has to go some mandatory trainings? How is that process?
Okay, so just as I'm coming to a very core HR question now.
Right.
So our selection process, already I have told you that we have a huge diversity in the selection. So we try to make our HR workforce as diverse as possible. There are people from humanities, commerce, finance, marketing, technology, and everything. Now, how do you now socialize these people within the organization? So when I say socialization, it is not just understanding the work of Nabard, but also understanding and imbibing the culture of the organization. That's called socialization. So therefore, the first step, the stepping stone is through the portals of the National Bank Staff College in Lucknow. So that's a training institution. It's an in-house institution. So the first is the induction program. It's a kind of an initiation ceremony where you learn about Nabard, you learn about what you're supposed to do, you learn about your rights and duties, your roles and responsibilities, and your expectations are also met. After that, you are posted to the wherever you're supposed to be posted. And then your on the job training starts. And mind you, we have a kind of a vision for every officer when he or she joins Nabard. So throughout his career, every year he will be given at least one or two trainings every year. So depending on the desk that he's in, so either he will be sent to staff college, back again to staff college for say a technical training, or it could be a training on IT, or as he grow up the ladder, more and more management development training. So it could be a managed orientation training for HR, because the more higher you grow, your HR role grows. So that vision, that roadmap is there for each and every officer. You could also go for training to other institutions. And for senior officers like us, almost every 2 years, I have the option to choose any IM or ISB for any training program that I want to attend, and it is totally funded by Nabard. So we are very, very strong on the investment that we do in our HR, and it's a continuous process. So for instance, I sent my staff just last week for training for agriculture startups, because we also want to know what is it that startups are doing. How do we have a product for them? So agriculture startups. So we have a training on blockchain, on cryptocurrency, to basically need to understand what is there in the external landscape. So training is a continuous process, and it will happen at least once or twice a year for everyone.
That is great. Again, it takes me to the point initially in the beginning of this conversation. You mentioned that Nabard is, the organization is lean, as in the employees are not very much in number, but those 3,000 employees, as you said, they are trained. You invest a lot on your employees.
Yes.
So that they have to handle so many important things. And the students are joining in. We are now more than 100, right? And ma'am, I'll take up a question. This is pertaining to the same thing we were discussing. This is a question by Rohit Gupta. He is saying that he has cleared Nabard from finance discipline. Recently inducted he is. He's asking, can you please tell us about the postings of finance discipline specifically, or the life in that?
He has already joined Nabard.
Not joined, cleared the examination, he mentioned. The 2021 examination results were out just few days back. So he has cleared that through finance discipline, he has written here. Nabard grade B, Rohit, I think you want to mention.
Yeah, because that I think Rohit, the grade B result came out 2 days back.
I think because finance, I can recall he is telling about
What is
grade
his
B.
degree? What is his degree? Is he
Chartered
a
accountant, he has written.
chartered accountant? Okay, okay. So Rohit, most probably, if you're a CA, there I can see two or three very important roles for you, and that is the finance department. Or it could be project finance. So you see, Rohit, there are finance. If you break it down, it could be two, three important areas. First is project finance. So if it is project finance role, I don't know whether a CA would be very much required there. But when it comes to investment, when it comes to resource mobilization, that would be an area. Or when it comes to building the balance sheet, the accounting function, there CA would be very much required. So I can perhaps foresee a role for you in head office, because that's where the main, that's the hub of the finance, the resource mobilization, or the treasury function, or the investment function, or the drawing up the balance sheet. I think I could hazard a very this thing guess, educated guess. So that could be the place for you. Other places could also be the risk management function. That's also in head office. We do have a credit risk function which is growing, which is very vibrant. Then we have a department of subsidiaries, which oversees the 7 subsidiaries, where there's a lot of, and that also looks at investment, strategic investments in venture capital kind of investments, or in funds of funds and all that. So there also we require people with your specialization. But more or less, I have a feeling, there is the tipping, that the scale would tip more in favor of you being posted in our head office.
Chalo, let's see, Rohit. You go there, you join, then you will get to know more. Ma'am has tried to give you many insights, although, right? Ma'am, one more question. This is about, yes, I think this is again a decent question we can take up, that can one choose the project they want to work in, or can they give their like project or any specific initiative, can they give their option that I want to choose this, I want to work there, and will it be considered?
No, there is no question. There is no question of having your own project. So the projects come from our clients. The projects come from our clients, whether it is, say, let's say you are posted in the state infrastructure department. Okay. So then your client will be the state government,
Right.
or it will be a state government corporation. So at the most, what you could do is you could talk to the department, say the irrigation department, or you could talk to the roadways department, or you could talk to the, let's say the PWD or wherever. And then whatever is the project that they need to be financed, you will have to work on it. Similarly, if you're working in the refinance department, then whichever bank approaches you, suppose there are 5 banks which approach you, you will have to choose which of the 5 banks most fits your criteria, and you will have to do the due diligence. I don't actually understand how you can think of getting your own project.
No,
So
I think I'll just reframe it. The question goes like that: if there are projects different going
yes,
on, so
yes.
can one choose that I want to be a part of this project? Any project that Nabard is looking or working with, like basically that this is what we want to be a part of. Can they do like this?
It can depend. Suppose there is a plethora of projects in a particular RO, and you find that something interests you more. You can always ask your team leader and say, these are my skills, and I would want to work in this kind of an area. That would be considered.
I
That's
think yes, absolutely. That was the question. I think that
that's all
okay.
right. You can
Wonderful,
always.
wonderful. Okay. So a lot of questions we have taken, ma'am, and we have also discussed varied things about Nabard. One last thing, a theme actually that I would like to touch upon is the like we have discussed about the promotions, the work culture. But what about the exposure, the cultural exposure? Like different, as you said, you are working. Nabard is working across the country, so people from varied background come together and work. So the family bonding, informal institutions of bonding, something like that, if you want to tell us that about Nabard.
Okay, so like I said, it's like when I look at Nabard in any office, it's like I'm seeing a microcosm of Indian society. So in any place, whether it's Lucknow, or you will find people from north, south, east, west. So how do we have them gel? The first important bonding that we have is that every office there is a sports and recreation club. And it's an informal organization, but Nabard supports in terms of giving a grant for building the infrastructure. So every office will have a gym. Every office will have carom boards. We'll have a TT table. In the staff quarters, we'll have a badminton court. So we try to encourage the young people to take up sports and recreational facilities after office hours, during weekends, families. For the families, we have picnics. The sports club organizes picnics, sort of get-togethers. We have, very frequently we have informal sort of get-togethers. If a person is leaving, there is a farewell. If a person is joining, there is a kind of a welcome. So there's a lot of bonding which goes on throughout the year. Throughout the year, people meet formally, informally. Just last month, after we completed our targets after 31st March, we met in a hotel with families, and there were kind of games where children participated. In Republic Day and Independence Day, we invite all the families. It's not just that we go and hoist the flag and have breakfast. All families come, they come with their children. We invite even our contract staff, our guards. We give them some gifts. We have singing competitions. We have Rangoli competitions. We have, I don't know, I mean, there's a huge amount which is going on at the same time. So there are informal institutions. And how strong these are will depend on how the young people join and take them forward.
Right, true. As we were earlier also saying that sports meets are conducted,
yes,
but how long they are done, or how the thing depends on
the sports meet, like I guess I said, last 2 years because of COVID, lot of things have been put on the back burner. Otherwise, every year there is a sports meet where any part of India, so one office hosts it. It's something like a week-long event, and anyone is allowed to join. Any officer in any grade, he can join, and he can take part in, say, so there'll be tournaments between the regional offices on cricket, on table tennis, on badminton, on carom, and there will be a music competition, and then there are prizes. Our chairman goes and gives away the prizes. So that's once a year. And then our people, they also take part in other sports tournaments at the district level, at the state level. So that is also encouraged.
Ma'am, are there some kind of group trips also? Because people are writing here that we have heard Nabard organizes some group trips or trips they tell. So is there anything of that sort?
Yeah, we do that. In fact, every office or every department has a kind of a budget. So we organize some kind of, informal exposure visits, with the families for 2 days in a year or somewhere. So like I said, and the sports clubs, it is through the sports clubs. Office cannot do all this. So depending on how active a particular sports club is, you could have a monsoon picnic, you could have a winter out get together, you could have a summer picnic. So that is always there throughout the year. So that kind of calendar of activities also happens. So group trips happen. People on their own also, they go for treks. I myself have gone for treks. People participate in marathons. A friend of mine has participated in 24, 25 marathons. So people participate in the standard, I think HDFC Stand Chart Marathon in Mumbai, which is a very big event. At least 15, 20 Nabardians participate. People participate in the Ladakh cycling trip. So don't worry. And in fact, we are one of the institutions which give leave also, 15, 20 days leave or whatever is allowed to go for YHA trekking. So Youth Hostels Association trekking. For that also you can get leave and go for treks. So those kind of extracurricular activities are also encouraged.
So vacations also you can take, basically. You can go on vacations also.
So when you talk of paid vacations, first let me tell you about the leave. And the leave in Nabard is huge. In addition to the public holidays, so you have Saturday, Sundays off. You can start with your calculator. 365 days minus Saturdays, Sundays, plus 15 to 20 days leave. You get 15 days casual leave. You can earn up to 33 days paid leave. You get about 18 days of medical leave, sick leave on sickness grounds and self sickness grounds. So this is the kind of leave that you are eligible for in a year. Of course, let me put the underline, leave is not a matter of right. It's not that whenever you want, you can take off. It's always a kind of a trade-off between when the office requires you and when you have to go. When it comes to paid vacations, every 2 years, you are given a leave travel concession to travel at a particular, either airfare or first class AC fare, not just for yourself, but for your spouse and dependents. Just imagine traveling with your family once every 2 years and the entire expenses are borne by Nabard.
What more can you ask for?
You can tour the entire country.
Right. So lovely. I think that is really motivating. And that is why, ma'am, I would say that the number of joinees are increasing actually in this session. And people are also saying that thank you so much for answering. Ma'am is answering very patiently, and students are really liking the session. They are putting hearts in the chat box that we are liking the session.
That's
So I think, ma'am, we have discussed a lot, right? I'll take a 1-2 more questions, but please you tell us anything else you would like to tell to the young aspiring candidates who are preparing for examinations, competitive examinations, and they also, many are there, ma'am, what we have seen, many people who have friends who have cleared Nabard, they tell them that you should give this examination. Then they get this confidence. But many are there who do not have acquaintances in Nabard, so they are not much aware about it. So especially to those candidates, what would you like to say?
Okay, so Ritika, I will say it'll take me some time to answer that question. How do I position Nabard to those people who have not heard about Nabard? So let me tell you this, that Nabard is a unique organization. I mean, the kind of job satisfaction that you will find here, you will rarely find anywhere else. Because, from day one, you are given the exposure, you are given the freedom, and you're given the freedom to align with the job role. The mission of Nabard, the vision and mission of Nabard is so clear. Development Bank of the Nation for rural prosperity. So anything and everything, whether you want to work with a handloom weaver, an artisan, you want to help build a 2,000 crore irrigation project, whether you want to fund, today I can proudly say I have funded HDFC Bank, which is one of the strongest banks in the country. So that is the kind of job satisfaction that you can get. The quality of life that you can get. You can support rural communities, you can support your own family, you can lead a healthy family life. Well-being is something which is something that we stress on for our employees, whether it's physical well-being, whether it's emotional well-being, whether it is mental or spiritual well-being. There are enough opportunities to invest in yourself. And most important thing I would talk about is motivation. So what I want to tell all youngsters are, try to look for the motivation from within. It's not always that, you look to the external environment that, my job is so tough, or I have to work after office hours, or I'm posted, say, in a northeastern state, or I'm posted in a remote area. So when we try to look for the locus of control as being internal, and I say, okay, this is the job, this is the challenge, I have to work, say, in a tribal area, but the work that I do is going to uplift the lives of the tribals. That kind of job satisfaction you will not get anywhere. So I think if you are looking for a good salary, Nabard is the place. If you're looking for a safe job security, Nabard is the place. If you're looking for job satisfaction, Nabard is the place. If you're looking for a transparent organization, honest organization, Nabard is the place. If you're looking for working in a CSR, kind of a role, Nabard is the place. If you're looking for a business role, Nabard is the place. So I don't know what more I can add to position Nabard as a good employer or as a good place to work, in a healthy place to work. And one more thing, we do have no tolerance for indiscipline. We have no tolerance for any kind of, wrong practices. That way we are very, very strong. So we don't have any place for any corruption, any kind of wrongdoings.
As you said, ma'am, it is a wonderful balance of private and public work culture, that you get the scope is there to get promoted, to get trainings, to upgrade yourself, while the job security and other perks that a government offers you. So that is what Nabard is. That was a wonderful conversation, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming here, discussing all these things with us. I had just two questions students are asking again and again. I'll just tell them.
Please.
I ask, yes. So one question is about the opportunities for a law graduate in Nabard.
Okay, why didn't you ask this question first? Whoever is asking this, we have a separate law department.
Rahul has asked this question.
Yes, is it Rahul?
Yes.
Yeah, so Rahul, we have a separate law department. It's a separate subsidies, a separate services altogether, or you could be posted there. And we do a lot of work in terms of the legal documentation. So wherever, if I enter into an agreement, let's say with a foreign development organization or with a state government or a corporation in the course of my business, so all that documentation, all the policy, whether there is any kind of legal aspect, the law department takes care. Then, as you know, for any organization, there are a lot of lawsuits, whether you have external stakeholders or you have internal stakeholders. So those kind of lawsuits. Then we support the government, since we said 100% stakeholder is the government of India. If there are any kind of legal advice which we need to give to the government, their law department helps. So there is a very, very specialized and a vibrant and a young law department. So that
answers your question. Yes, perfectly. Bhuvi and Nishant are two students. They are asking about the opportunity for agri students if they have done specifically their graduation in agriculture.
So let me answer your question first by saying that the chairman of Nabard and the two DMDs of Nabard are postgraduates from IERI. Okay.
That answers a lot of things.
Yes, I don't think I need to say any further than that.
So ample opportunities are there, right? Yes. And one last question, ma'am. We'll wind up a session then. Arun Kumar is asking that, ma'am, Nabard Grade A officers, are they allowed to join our territorial army, TA cadre? Can they join being in a job of Nabard? I'm not sure if
I know the question. I am not sure because earlier I remember when I was an HR long back. Earlier I remember they were allowed to join, but I am not sure what are the rules in the present case. Present time. So I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to give a wrong answer. So
that is fair enough.
Yeah.
So I think that is it, ma'am. We have taken all the queries, and I am thankful to you again.
I hope I've been able to answer the queries to the satisfaction of the applicants. If in case there's 1 minute left, anybody wants to ask a last question, otherwise I will.
Yes. See, so wonderful of you, ma'am, giving 1 more minute. So ask all the queries, guys, if you still think anything is unanswered. Acha, one question is that grade B posts are not there as frequent as RBI. So I think grade B are not as frequent as grade A. This is a question.
Yes. Because grade B. So what we try to do is we try to have a balance between taking people through the organization and having lateral, recruitment. So RBI is a much larger organization, if you see. So the total strength in RBI is in thousands. At one point of time, there were 20,000 officers. I don't know what is the strength now. So it is almost 4 or 5 times the size of Nabard. So obviously, our size of officers being small, number of posts for grade A and grade B also will be fewer than RBI. And like I said, we would like to have more people, rising from the ranks, rather than have lateral recruitment. That's a very studied policy. So therefore, grade B posts will be much fewer. I think this time there were only 7 posts.
Yes, but that is a fair policy as you have put it, right? So that is it, ma'am.
That's it. Chalo.
Yes, and
I would like to wish all the best. Before we close, I want to wish all the applicants all the very best. And let's hope we see some of you in Nabard. So, all
we
the best.
hope the same, ma'am. And thank you once again. It was a wonderful conversation. And if guys who did not join live, they can watch the video. It will be available on our channel. That was a conversation with Miss Suparna Tandon, the CGM of Nabard. Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Ritika.